The economy is starting to bounce back from the impact of the Queensland floods, with today's national accounts showing stronger than expected growth in the June quarter. But there's still plenty of debate about Australia's productivity performance, with the Reserve Bank Governor weighing in. And the ACTU has released the results of a survey of 42,000 workers, showing that many are already working longer hours for little reward. John Stewart reports.
For the government, today's GDP figures provided welcome relief.
Businesses are investing with confidence, incomes are rising, we're seeing reasonable consumption growth, and unemployment remains low.
The national accounts have surprised many. They show the economy grew by 1.2% in the June quarter, the fastest growth in 4 years. The annual rate of growth jumped to 1.4%. The bounce in June is largely explained by surprisingly strong household spending figures, despite weakness in official retail sales. The opposition welcomed the news, but says the government must keep its promise to deliver a surplus in 2013.
But there are no more excuses for Wayne Swan and the Gillard government. No more excuses about not delivering a surplus. No more excuses for a shortage of job growth.
In a speech in Perth, the Reserve Bank Governor said that while the international economic outlook is uncertain, trade with economies like India, China and Brazil will produce long-term real benefits for Australia.
That effect actually, in aggregate, is overwhelmingly positive for us, even if our tendency, not so much in the West, but maybe in other parts of the country, to dwell on the downside is on display.
One recent area of debate has been about Australia's productivity performance. But Glenn Stevens says that by international standards, Australians already work long hours, and the call for higher productivity should not be about workers doing longer shifts.
You don't actually add to productivity per hour by working more hours. You add to productivity per hour, which is what counts, by making the hours which are already being contributed more effective. That's actually the point of the productivity discussion.
On Monday, the Australian Industry Group called for the return of individual workplace agreements and blamed collective bargaining and a lack of flexibility in the Fair Work Act for undermining productivity. Today, the Australian Council of Trade Unions hit back. It says a survey of 42,000 workers found that many are already under pressure to work longer hours.
What workers told us was that the 38-hour week is often just an aspiration and not a reality, while the idea of working overtime means longer hours for no extra pay.
The survey found that 61% work more hours than they are paid for. 73% are regularly contacted outside of work hours about their job. And 58% have paid for work-related expenses and had not been reimbursed.
We have a productivity squeeze, which means that we are achieving productivity through unpaid work and greater pressure on workers. We are not doing it through investing in upgrading our infrastructure or the level of education in our community.
The Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry today seized on one of the survey's findings, that 70% of workers are satisfied with their working conditions, and says the two-speed economy is leaving some employers behind.
The ACTU today, with rose-coloured glasses, has suggested that all employers are able to pay more, provide working hours simply off the top of their hat. The reality is that our economy is much more complex, and our industrial relations system needs to reflect those complexities and that uneven behaviour.
The ACTU says the results of the survey will inform its next wages campaign. John Stewart, Late Line.